This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking to Ted Buras of ColabGPS. We've got an events section on our website. You can find out all about the events in our industry and get discounts on some events. You'll find all that and more at adultsitebroker.com. We're proud to announce our latest project, thewaronporn.com. You'll find articles on age verification laws and other attacks on our industry. It's to raise awareness of our industry's plight in the war on porn. You'll find all that and more at thewaronporn.com. And we're always looking for buyers and sellers of adult sites and companies. Perhaps you've been thinking about either selling your site or buying one. Always feel free to contact us at adultsitebroker.com with any questions you may have. Now time for our properties for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer a successful OnlyFans agency. The agency has 15 creators, with 90% of them being on salary, so the agency is highly profitable. They handle all aspects of marketing for the creators, including chatting and promotion, with highly predictable acquisition channels. They do paid advertising for subscriber acquisition. In addition to agency operations, the business has developed a suite of custom-built internal tools that represent significant intellectual property and competitive infrastructure. They have a custom content production pipeline built for synthetic creator content using AI with Telegram chatbot integration for pre-funnel fan engagement. It also offers WhatsApp automation. They use a proprietary analytics, KPI, and sales verification dashboard with link tracking, ad performance data, sales verification, and payout automation. All tools are built entirely in-house and don't depend on third-party SaaS platforms. This technology is a great asset for the buyer to own. We have a rapidly growing SaaS-powered OnlyFans chat agency with strong SEO. The company has over 30 clients with very little churn, ranging from around $10,000 to over $150,000 a month. The company continues to grow and innovate. New technical features include an enhanced chatter portal, a new creator billing dashboard with daily billing, and an automated blog system to grow SEO. The company's set up with very little upkeep needed by the owner. It's a cash cow that's still growing fast. We have the largest foot fetish creator site in the German-speaking market. The site is a leading niche platform that's been the #1 brand in the market for over 3 years. The site is highly profitable with consistent revenue, an established SEO footprint, and strong brand authority in its niche. We have a buyer who's looking for OnlyFans agencies, chatting companies, and OnlyFans traffic sites. He owns one of the top OnlyFans agencies in the world. We're offering a growing free porn gaming site with adult sex games. The site is owned by one of the top entrepreneurs in our industry. We have a premium AI companion platform focused on emotional realism and deep memory. Users interact with lifelike companions that remember every detail, respond with real emotion. They've just added advanced video capabilities. There are more properties for sale on our website. For more information on any of these listings, go to our listings page or contact us at adultsitebroker.com. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Ted Buras of ColabGPS. Ted, thanks for being with us on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's great to have you. Ted is a seasoned industry professional and entrepreneur with nearly 25 years of experience in adult. Kind of sounds like me. He's based in Denver, Colorado, having witnessed the industry's transformation from the dial-up era to the modern creator economy. He possesses a long background in studio-level production, including video editing, content management, and 2257 compliance. Ted is the founder of ColabGPS, a venture born from his firsthand observation of the logistical hurdles facing independent creators. Driven by a mission to modernize how performers network and organize, he is building a platform centered on professionalism, safety, and community. His goal is to provide a dedicated space where creators can streamline their travel and scene scheduling. Ted is a devoted single father to his 6-year-old son, who remains the center of his world. An avid outdoorsman and geek at heart, he balances his entrepreneurial drive by gaming and exploring the Colorado wilderness. Through ColabGPS, Ted is committed to empowering creators with the tools they need to save time, foster meaningful professional connections, and ultimately scale their business in a rapidly evolving market. So how'd you like your commercial?
I couldn't have done it better myself. So can you write that down and send it to me, please?
I'll do that for sure. So Ted, tell me a bit more about yourself that I didn't already say and all that.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, you pretty much covered, at least on my personal side. I mean, my life is fatherhood and work. So like you mentioned, when I do get a little time for play, then, I love to game. I love to go take my son hiking. So in terms of like the professional side, I've worked in this industry literally since the beginning, which dates me. But I remember like the first sites popping up where it was just, a photo gallery and having a photo download line by line in the anticipation of what was going to appear on your computer screen. So yeah, I've been there since the beginning, and I've just, I've worked, and I still do work for a company, and I've personally seen, just how the industry has evolved and changed. And, despite my better efforts, like the company I work for just isn't interested in getting into the content creator economy. And I'm, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. That urge was always a difficult thing for me because I get very nervous about risk taking, very, very nervous. So I finally got to the point where I would have all these ideas, and I was hoping like the company I work for would help me realize them. And when that just wasn't going to happen, I got to the point where there was this idea, and I wrestled in my mind with it for so long. And then I finally said, F it, like I'm doing it. And, it was actually with a lot of encouragement from my mom, especially. So I finally did it. So yeah, it's been kind of a wild journey, finally doing something on my own.
Yeah, it kind of parallels me. I mean, I worked for a radio station for like 21 years, and I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and actually did some things on the side, like with an ad agency and all that. But I finally broke out and started a marketing firm with a business partner. So I kind of understand what you're talking about. And, working for the man, at a certain point, it doesn't satisfy everything. And you've got to kind of go out on your own and see how the rest of the world does things. So I completely get that. So how did you come up with the idea originally of ColabGPS?
Like I said, I've seen how this industry changed to a much more content creator focused industry. As platforms like OnlyFans, Just for Fans, all those started to become extremely mainstream, I would be meeting more and more people that did this. And I was always very curious, like how they did it, like what, how did it like just evolve for them, and kind of like seeing how they utilize the existing social media platforms to not just advertise their content to their potential fan base and subscribers, but to find each other. And then, especially after talking to a couple of people wanting to get into it, and just like how the challenges of using platforms that are not designed to focus on those creator to creator connections.
You're talking about like social media.
Yeah. So, almost everyone will have an X account. I mean, that's just, the main platform for putting up your clips and things like that. And, and I started going through people's profiles, trying to send people messages, which would never get replied to. Like a lot of these, content creators have enormous followings, right? Like I can't imagine what their inbox is like, or they get to the point where they don't even manage it themselves anymore, right? So, it was just, to me, it seemed like a barrier, especially for those wanting to get into this. And then as I just kind of iterated on the idea in my head, because for me, it was like, okay, so I think there's some value in this for people wanting to start it. So, okay, what about the people that are already doing it? What about the people that they're already established and already know plenty of people to film with? What can a platform like this offer them? So I worked through all of that. And then I just felt like it was an opportunity to provide something that I truly, truly believe would be useful for people just wanting to start out, lowering that barrier, as well as making life easier for those that, might be industry vets.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why do you feel something like this is necessary for the creator community?
I just truly believe there is a better way to do this. And there's just so much noise and competing just elements out there for those, especially wanting to start doing it as more and more people. This is mainstream. It's only becoming more mainstream. It's only going in one direction, so it's only going to get bigger. And I just personally, from hearing about the challenges of people like wanting to start out, and, the thing is if you increase the pool of content creators, what's beautiful about this is that, it benefits everybody, right? So I truly believe in this idea of fostering a community that just streamlines this, makes this process so much easier for people. I've seen a couple other apps out there, but I truly feel like mine's kind of a unique take on it. And it's not a concept that a lot of the creators have heard of yet. And so it is now my job to reach them and to talk to them and convince them why I think this is a great platform for them and what it can do to help them streamline their content creation.
Okay. So why don't you tell us why, when you talk to those people, what do you tell them?
Well, so I debuted ColabGPS at the Avian show in January. Honestly, I was not sure. I had no idea what to expect. I was very nervous about, the reception. Like the platform itself had not yet released it, delays and bugs and all that fun stuff. But, the reason why I designed it in a way where I'm talking from every aspect, like the visual design. I approached this with a LinkedIn meets Tinder type of concept. So the LinkedIn was about the professionalism, because I knew that women make up a huge part of this industry. And I've just seen, the other platforms kind of focus on the raunchy, on the sex part of it. And I wanted to focus on the professionalism aspect, which I really felt like women would value. And that is the reception that I got from them. They were giving me hugs. They were telling me how proud they were of me, how badly they need something like this. And especially knowing like that this was coming from not some big company or something like that, but just me. I don't have investors or anything like that. It's just me with an idea, right? So, that's how I explain this concept. And then I heard from a lot of the women there about a lot of the issues they face in terms of, trying to find people to film with. I got a lot of great ideas on, through talking to them, where something like this could go in the future. So it reinforced the idea that I felt like this can be a success just based on how they reacted to this idea. Okay.
Well, so let's say I'm a content creator and you think I should be going on ColabGPS. What exactly would you say to me?
So, well, my first question would be like, what are you, an established content creator? Are you someone looking to get into it? Basically, I would be letting you know that the main goal of the platform is to help you find other people And I would, explain to you how it's done. So, it is very similar to a grinder type platform where you have your grid and people are organized by distance, but you have other tools available to you. Like your profile is, I call it a collab card. I created this kind of concept of a profile where you can customize the design and the colors just for people who would find interest in something like that. You don't have to engage, with something like that if you're not interested. But talking about, I know, for example, how important travel is for content creators. You go to a different city, you find other people that you normally would not be able to film with. You film with them, you post on your X, you are now visible to a whole new set of potential subscribers. So, you can schedule your trips. You can invite people, other content creators on your trips. You have access to a visiting soon grid. If you want to click that, see who's coming into town, start engaging with them, start making your plans before they get there. And, all of this in terms of privacy and stuff is completely up to the user. You can show up in that grid 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, or never. You can keep your trips private, of course. But I really did try to think of how a content creator just goes about everything. And I wanted to provide the tools of there's a calendar built in the app. So you can schedule things right in the app with your collabs. It's just a very powerful tool. And keeping it all in one spot, all your chats in one spot, all your scenes that you're doing in one spot, all your travel plan. If you're traveling with a group, you can have that group trip conversations in one spot. So I really, really did try to think of all the little details that kind of went into this.
I would imagine you did a lot of research with creators before coming up with it.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that do it, so I've talked to them. Then I just, I finally had to get on X. I didn't ever want to get on X, but I finally got on X. And, just kind of seeing how people, it really is mainly about appealing to their subscribers. So, I was like, there has to be an easier way to allow the creators to focus just on them finding other people to create content with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you also mentioned you had checked out other apps. How does yours differ from the other ones you've seen?
Yeah. So, kind of how I mentioned, the other apps I've seen out there are there's really no design aesthetic. I wanted to create something unique, right? I wanted to create something professional. I had a woman at the AVN show. She told me, she's like, I want an app that I can open on my phone at a party and not be embarrassed. And, that is kind of how I designed this, I don't want to name names or anything, but what I've seen is that based off of the names and the logos and stuff like that, it is focused on the sex and that part of it. And what it comes down to is that sex workers are workers. This is a profession. And I wanted to go into that with that mentality and with that professionalism, that design, not just aesthetic, but just every corner of the app is just designed around that.
Gotcha. Okay. So as a startup, what's your plan on getting people to use your platform?
Yeah, this is the big challenge. And I thought, the development of this platform was the most stressed I've ever been in my life. There was, a lot, I'm sure this is my first time doing something like this, but I'm at least fairly technically minded. I know that bugs happen and things get delayed, but it was extremely stressful.
Did you do the development yourself?
No, I did contract a development company. I've never been gifted with being able to program or anything like that, even though I'm great at using computers, but that's about as far as it goes. Yeah, so this is the challenge. Now that I'm in this phase, it's launched. This is the bigger challenge, even bigger than the development of the platform itself, right? So, I have a marketing team, and we're just focused on consistent posting, building up. This is more of an organic approach. As someone who I don't have investors or anything like that. I don't have this enormous pool of money just to throw at marketing. I'm trying to do it organically. I'm trying to do it by, going to some of these shows, I'm having a booth, talking to people, trying to get, a hold of content creators that might, be interested in a brand ambassador for me and helping promote that way. And I built a referral program within the app. You can customize a referral code. Your code can be your brand or your stage name. And then by posting about it, by putting your code out there, you can make money. So it's my hope. Like, I truly believe that all it's going to take is just a couple sparks. Like, I really do.
It's got to become somewhat viral.
Yeah, exactly. And, so it is a challenge. And I went into this kind of already expecting, this is going to take me at least a year, right? At least a year to get the word out there, the brand awareness out there, convince people why this is, an important tool to have. It is a big challenge, but I'm in this for the long haul, and I believe so much in it that I'm going to stick by it, and I'm going to make it happen.
You convinced me. What's your strategy on trying to build a user base so the platform becomes useful for everyone?
So what I'm kind of going through right now is this approach in terms of marketing, trying to, contact people to get on the platform. This is sort of you trickle in users, right? And this is the most difficult part about starting something like this is the platform isn't useful until you get, a decent number of people on there. So you either find the people that believe in the idea so much that they're going to buy the annual subscription and just, be on there and utilize the referral program and stuff like that. But the thing I am kind of in the process of looking at how to get groups of people. One of the things I'm going to probably be doing here soon is 100 free memberships, using this code and figuring out how to get the word out there about that. When I do the Minneapolis, the next show I'll be at is Exotica in Minneapolis in June. I'm going to have my little collab cards with, a code for the first 100 people, trying to get groups of people on. I just know that the trickle in may work eventually, but it really does need a bit of a jump start. So I'm going to start looking at free memberships. I'm going to start reaching out to platform holders. I want to demo this to people. I want to demo this to the platform holders. Say, hey, what do you think about offering this for free for 6 months to your creators? So that is I'm formulating that strategy right now, but it's, my focus is turning to how to reach more people at once.
Yeah, no, I get it. Is there a specific target user, and is it more for content creators who are already established or for ones who are new?
What I figured out is, and just iterating on this idea in my head, initially it was built around the idea of making this easier to get into. As someone who's new, who doesn't have an X following, who has no idea how to find content creators, that is where the idea started. And then through sort of just, how can I build on this idea? And then, it was just by including those trip features, the scheduling of your collabs, being able to organize all your scenes and everything like that. It really is a tool for everyone, regardless if you're new or regardless if you are a big star, right? There is something for you. And there's so many ways that I see how I can take this concept further. But what needs to happen first is getting that community going, right? I mean, I have so many ideas. It's crazy, but yeah, it really is for everybody. If you're gay, the grid is basically tailored to your sexual preferences. So if you're a gay man and you're only looking to film with other gay men, the grid's only going to show you gay men. You're not going to see women on there. You're not going to see straight men. If you're bi, you're going to see men and women. So it's, it really is for everybody. I wanted to make sure I developed it with everyone in mind so that there was something for everybody.
Mm-hmm. You talked a bit about the design. Why did you decide to design it the way you did?
Hitting on the earlier points, I really, as someone who has worked in this industry, my entire adult life, this is a profession. They are professionals. This is to a lot of people that now there, mind you, there's There are people who do this very casually. There are people who this is their primary source of income, right? But it's a profession, and I wanted to treat it like that. And so, it's got, bright colors. It looks nice and professional. Your profile is just a whole different concept that hasn't really been done before. And I built, you have the ability to form your own collab network, I call it. It's a little section on your card. If you've worked with someone, you've filmed with someone, and you had a great experience with that person, add them to your network. It's they have to then accept that invitation, and then it's a great resource for someone else. Maybe they've worked with you. Oh, who did they work with that they had great experiences with? So it really is built around professionalism and building a positive, great to work with content creator community.
Now, when you were designing it, did you also look at the competing companies that do the collab thing and kind of try to design it that way around what you liked and what you didn't like?
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is before I decided to do this, like I searched high and low all over the internet. I could not find anything about such a tool existing, right? In mid-development, I finally got word that someone had launched something. And I was like, oh my God. And then I found about a second one. And then some people at the AVN show were telling me about another one that sort of came and went really quick. I was not able to find any information on them. So I built this with the thought that this had not yet been done before. So everything was basically from my mind, my ideas, not knowing that there was something already out there or that, it launched while I was in the process of doing this. I mean, the only inspiration I took was really, as a gay man, I used apps like Grindr, and I know exactly how those kind of location-based apps work, right? So, I mean, none of the design came from any particular place. The only inspiration I got was just from using apps that are sort of location-based. But the design was all me. The collab cards, there was nothing out there at the time that I could find.
Well, it was funny because earlier you said, kind of like Grindr, and I was thinking to myself, no, I don't. but
yeah.
But anyway.
I don't know. I don't think there is a straight community equivalent to Grindr. I don't know.
Well, there's all kinds of dating apps out there. I've been married forever, so
the quote unquote dating. Yes, yeah, I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I understand. Anyway, so I see you charge for a membership, $5 or $10, depending on the plan, and there are also annual plans, which you alluded to before. Why not make this free or have that as an option?
One of the things I did keep an eye on was with the other platforms, right? Like they are completely free and open. And at least initially, as they try to build a user base. And it was very important for me to not pursue that route. And the reason is I don't think what the plans are very expensive. I think they're very reasonable. But here's the potential issue you get when you open the platform to everybody. That means anybody can sign up. This is meant for content creators. And if, for example, I was successful in building a great community, I don't want this platform to be overrun with fans seeing, close to me, who's in my area. As a Grindr user, I am very aware of the scam bot issue. Now, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They don't really deal with it. It is insane. I can go on a whole tangent right now about how they treat their users. But anyway, by offering a membership-based application, you don't have to worry about scam bots. You don't have to worry. I will never be able to fully prevent a fan from getting on the platform, right? But it is a deterrent. And it's it'll make them think twice before, if it was a free platform, there's no harm in signing up, right? That's why I do that. And, it does cost me money to host it. And even with a very small user base right now. So, I am doing this as someone with no investors who does want to try to make a business out of this. And I really did think hard about pricing. I did not want to make it something that was expensive. One of the other apps, he had put on his website that it was free initially. He was planning to charge $30 a month. Now that is now gone. I'm sure he kind of is going through the same thing of like, oh, this is difficult to like get the word out there to build that user base. But I didn't want to nickel and dime people. This is like, there's 2 plans. That's it. I'm not going to be upcharging, for little things and stuff like that. So I really do want to build this community for content creators. And I think that is an important part of doing that.
I know at least one of the other companies because they've been on the podcast, and they're backed by a very large company. You probably know the one I'm talking about. And I think the way they make their money is that the money runs through, for the collabs, the money runs through kind of an escrow type thing. Are you doing something like that?
No. I mean, there's no other layers to this. I actually don't know what company you're speaking of specifically. I did see a pretty big company at the AVN show, but there was another layer to their platform, which was they wanted to foster the talent to then work for them and all this stuff. And there's nothing like that with mine. Like, it literally is just for content creators. It's just a monthly or, an annual charge. Like, there's no other monetary aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why don't you walk us through some of the things you can do on ColabGPS and give us a little more of an idea of why it's a great tool for creators?
So I kind of like mentioned these in a little bits and pieces throughout the interview, but you have your grid is location based, right? And there's one of the things I was conscious of was, again, I'm going to bring up Grindr. Grindr, you can see who's closest to you by the foot. Of course, it's not going to be like 100% accurate, but I think that's creepy. And, so you don't see anything beyond the nearest mile. Like, if they're really close to you, you're not going to see that they're like 100 feet away from you. But it is location based. You can choose to hide your profile from the grid if you just want to engage by looking at other profiles and contacting people, but not being solicited by people. So, the grid is very much organized in that fashion. You have your, first, like your collab card, it has basically fields for anything, like what kind of content do you want to create? There's 2 sections for tags. So you have tags that describe yourself physically, and then you have tags that describe the kind of content you want to create. And there's a lot of niches out there, and a lot of people film very specific things. So I wanted to make sure to include the ability to select those tags and to filter people by those tags. Like, it's all about like trying to make this as efficient as possible. And I mentioned you've got, the collab network, you've got your social links. Knowing how important X is as a platform for content creators, like X is a link that if you want to put on your collab card, you have to verify your login with X. I want to make sure that when people create a profile, they are who they say they are, right? So you have the option to do, ID verification. The X profile link, it really is a resume for a lot of people. I think it's very important to check out someone's X if you're going to, potentially film with them. So when you hit their X link, it's theirs. They had to sign in, verify that they have the login. You've got your trips listed, like I mentioned, just being able to plan ahead of time with your trips, seeing who's going to be in that area, them being able to see you, start engaging, before you arrive, right? Especially if your main focus is like, filming with new content creators. And then you've got there's a section that if you want to talk about, how you film, what are you filming with? Do you use a cameraman, tripods? Do you do the editing? I mean, once you talk to someone and say, hey, yeah, let's collab, you in the app you choose to just use the scheduling feature, and you can, be as basic with what you want to include or as detailed, right? You can assign, hey, who's going to be the editor? Like, I can do the editing, or are we both going to do the editing? Who's going to be holding onto the footage? If you want to put, when you're planning to drop your content, make it live, you can put that, right? Or you can just say, hey, we're doing this on this date at this time. you can keep it that simple. Yeah, it's just through, I think, some great privacy features, scheduling and calendar features that just makes this a super unique and good tool to use, with just some like extra stuff in there, like design, picking your collab card theme. One of the things that nobody really knows about yet, because I ended up launching too late into February, but like I'll have awareness cards. Basically, the first one was going to be February for Black History Month, and I had a special Black History Month card. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that this year. But like in June, I'm going to have a Pride Month card and bringing awareness. I'll have breast cancer awareness, trans awareness, things like that. So I want to make the app engaging for people who want to keep using it, who finds the little things like that fun to use. And like I said, you can just pick the basic rectangle theme if you want. So, it's just as someone who's never designed something like this before, I am kind of proud of myself. Like I was, I'm getting ready to like film some demo videos. So I was just going through the app today a lot. And I was just like, oh, this is freaking cool. So, it's, I really believe people will love it. I just got to get the word out there. So
absolutely. So you alluded to this, but safety features. Why should someone feel comfortable using ColabGPS?
In terms of, let's say, your chats, all that kind of stuff. And this is like part of the technical, like I have a technical document for anyone who actually wants to reach out to me and say, hey, what are the specific features that I use what's called PubNub for chatting, right? And all of the encryption and everything. I have all of those in a document for people. So like all the data it's industry standard, encryption, things like that. In terms of a more personal level of safety, so while it is location-based, you can turn off the ability to show your location. Again, it is rounded to the nearest mile, so it's never going to show you if you do have it on. It's never going to show people that are just mere feet away from you. You can choose to go off the grid, and not be searchable. There's a search feature. If you kind of know a stage name or something like that, you can search. But if you go off the grid, you can't be found in search. So I just wanted to make sure that those options were available for people who, didn't want to be publicly on a grid, but like utilize the tool to still be able to engage with other people. And then, of course, in terms of like, okay, is this person real? The ID verification is an optional thing. It's on the premium plan, right? And I did have one person at AVN who just, this is a mistake. Why aren't you, And, it's, so here's the thing. First off, you have the X verification link. Second, if I was a content creator talking to someone who had not verified, I'd be like, hey, pay $4. Get access to that. I truly believe in not treating these people like children. They are adults, and I provide the tools for them to verify, to, all sorts of things. And it's up to them. I'm not policing these people, but what I can do is provide the tools. And so, with the X verification, with ID verification, like ultimately, if that isn't enough or they're not choosing to ID verify, then I'd be like, you send me a selfie video right now in my chat. There's just a lot of ways. Like that was the only negative comment I had at AVN. I was a little offended. It does happen. But I was like, these are adults.
Exactly. Never be offended. It's all business. Remember that.
Right. I will just say, like, he was very abrasive about it.
There are certainly those.
Yes. And let me just put it out there. Like, I want people who use this platform who say, oh, I think this could be done better or whatnot. I welcome that constructive criticism. And, I want to hear from people as more people get on the platform. There'll be a welcome message from me and I give you my email address and I'm like, please contact me. If there's a feature you may want, if there's something that may not, be working right, or you have any suggestions, I want to hear from people.
Good. Tell me about some of the feedback you've received so far.
As I mentioned about being at the AVN show, That was so far my main source of feedback. It was overwhelming in the best ways. I felt like, my approach to this, because I wanted to make sure that I appealed to women, I felt like I had accomplished that based off of how they reacted to seeing and playing with the platform. And, I would have straight men come up to me who said, you get the women and the men will follow.
It's like any dating app, or except for Grindr, of course. But
right. And in terms of the gay community, I want to appeal to the gay community. I mean, I'm a gay man, right? But ultimately, the key to the success of any kind of platform in this community is the women. They have the power in this industry. So I felt really good that I had worked in designing this platform with them in mind. I really did. And it was really heartwarming to hear from them. So I know that they're responding positively, and it was just one show. And as a single parent, it is hard for me to get a lot of solo travel time. So I won't be able to hit every show. I was invited to some amazing sounding European shows that I wish I could go to. But, I'm going to do my best, given, and hopefully I can make this thing a success and hire someone to go to these shows for me.
There you go. Always good. So now that ColabGPS is out, how do you see it evolving over time?
One of the other things in terms of feedback that I got at the show was how useful a tool like this could be beyond content creators. Those that work with content creators, those that host shows and podcasts having content creators on their show. I honestly had not thought of that. And then I had podcasters, media people, all sorts of other companies. There was this company that rents, it was like an Airbnb for filming content in houses and stuff like that.
Fuckspace.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
He's coming up on the podcast. Well, actually he'll be on before you're on. So
yeah. Okay, cool. How I envision this is first priority, build the content creator community. From there, I would love to create a space for media. And as I'm talking about this, in my mind, it was really important to make sure that if these kind of things happen, that this platform doesn't become something where you are just bombarded with solicitation from, media. I wanted to make it as an opt-in thing, right? So I want to be able to make a media card. I want to be able to make a crew card. I want to be able to make a card that maybe people can offer, like a cameraman, video editors, social media managers. There could be a whole side of this that works. That
agencies,
right? There's oh my gosh, there's so many ways where this could grow and build to. But first, none of that can happen without the
creators, agencies, chat companies. I mean, creators have a lot of vendors now in this huge creator economy. I know I'm brokering a chat company, I'm brokering agencies, so I mean, the creator economy is huge, and something like this could be a real hub.
There is so much synergy opportunities throughout this whole industry. So
keep me posted.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes. I truly hope that I'll get the opportunity to expand it in those ways.
I'm sure you will. So where can people listening who are interested in checking out ColabGPS learn more about the platform and sign up?
Yeah. So I have a website, talks all about the platform, ColabGPS.com. There's a free month trial membership. So at least check it out, just play with it, see what you think. And one of the other things I haven't touched on yet that I don't know about the big company, but in terms of the other apps that I saw pop up, I did not want to release this on one platform, right? If you don't release on Android, you're missing out half of your potentially half of your user base. As potential stars who, let's say, are managing lots of different scenes, I wanted a desktop app. I wanted something that you could put on a full screen. So It's out on iOS, Android, and as a web app. And if you sign up on your iPhone and you get your username, you can use it on the web. Like, it's interchangeable. One membership gets you access to all platforms. So ColabGPS.com, feel free to use that contact form. Anyone listening has any questions, use that contact form. It'll go directly to me or ted@ColabGPS.com. But yes, I'm happy to wield any questions, demo. I would love to demo the app for anyone who's interested. I've been doing that a little bit lately, and I truly believe in it. And I get so excited showing off this platform. So I relish the opportunity to show people. So
fabulous. Hey, Ted, I'd like to thank you for being with us today on Adult Side Broker Talk. And I hope we'll have a chance to do this again soon.
Thank you, Bruce. I truly appreciate the opportunity. This is kind of an important way for me to get the word out there. So
thank you. My broker tip today is part 10 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. Last week, we talked about what information to give a potential buyer and what determines the value of a site. We'll continue that today. If a site hasn't been monetized, then it's all about the amount and the quality of the traffic. If a sale is based on traffic, it will be a multiple of what the traffic would sell for on the open market. What are the sources of traffic? Direct traffic, search engine traffic, and review traffic are the most valuable. Tube traffic, the least valuable. Is the traffic reliable and sustainable? What is the traffic history? In a rare case, the valuation will be based upon revenue. The same factors apply to that as of profit, but of course the valuations will be lower than those of profits. How old is the website? Is the domain a .com or something else? .com is still king. How many inbound links are there? How much staff does it take to run the site? How many email addresses do you have? In the case of a dating site, this is very important. Another factor can be the reverse engineering cost. How much would it cost to build a site from scratch and drive the same amount of traffic to it, and how much time would be involved? What is the lifetime value of a customer on the site? Next week, how to buy a website. And next week, we'll be speaking with Dr. Susan Block of the Dr. Susan Block Institute. And that's it for this week's Adult Side Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Ted Buras of ColabGPS. Talk to you again next week on Adult Side Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.